Now on the phone with me is Ed Rollins. Ed is the Governor Huckabee's campaign chairman. Ed, you've heard all this talk and accusations. What's the skinny? What's real?
Well, I mean, what's real is Fred Thompson. I looked at Ron Paul. He's lost. He's been behind him in New Hampshire, behind him in Michigan. I mean, I think the bottom line here is that he was the one who attacked us in the debate. He's the one that basically has distorted our record and calling us liberal and all the rest of it. I don't see him doing that to anybody else. We've not gone on a whole bunch about his record. He was one of the biggest spenders in Congress, and there was an appropriation bill that he saw that he didn't vote for. So I think to a certain extent, let him talk about his record. We'll talk about our record.
Well, this rumor that's out there, and I know you hate to dismiss a rumor, but the rumor was that you guys were saying that he was staying in the race to pull votes from you, that is from Governor Huckabee, to help John McCain. Where did that come from?
I have no idea. We don't have any control over who's in the race, who's not in the race. Obviously, this is a guy who basically came in 5th place in New Hampshire. He was behind Ron Paul in the Michigan primary. He had one good night and one good debate. The bottom line is if you don't come in 1st or 2nd somewhere along the line and your money's running out, it's awful hard to stay in this race. Now, obviously, Fred can stay as long as he wants. I have great respect for Fred. I've known him for a long time. But from our perspective, we're running our campaign. It's a tough enough drill out here to make us all go forward without basically being accused of backroom manipulation or the rest of it.
All right, but he's polling fairly well in South Carolina. Now, those polls can move fast. Yeah, so are you. But there is some sort of sense to the idea that the conservatives in the race, or those who have a very conservative reputation, are the ones who have to fight each other out, right? So there could be something to the governor and the senator sort of knocking each other out, right?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is the first contest that Fred's really been competitive, and we'll have to see on Saturday whether he really is competitive or not. Polls aren't total indicators, as we've seen in many of these other places, of what voters think. From our perspective, we're running our campaign. My comment about the Reagan coalition, which he's now talked about 3 different times, as someone who was very involved in putting the Reagan coalition together, which obviously Fred wasn't, since he supported Gerald Ford against Ronald Reagan in 1976, and he supported Howard Baker against Ronald Reagan in 1980, and by 1984, everybody's for Ronald Reagan when he was out lobbying making movies, so I assume he was, but I never saw any activity. But at the end of the day, what I said is that the coalition of blue-collar Democrats, Catholic voters, Southern voters, a whole variety of things that went together for Ronald Reagan in 1984 when he won 59% of the vote, is not that same frame at it again. Whoever puts the next coalition together, puts the votes together, some of it will be the same, some of it won't be the same. But at the end of the day, what I said, and that's obvious by anybody that studies polls or anybody who's been around the game for a long time, it's not any cast of any aspersion on any of the candidates. It's changed. We're not getting half of the independents, as we saw in 2006 when we lost the Senate and we lost the House, a substantial number of House seats, and we have to go back and attract independent voters in addition to the Republican base, attract blue-collar Democrats again if we're going to have a winning coalition.
All right, so he quickly had charged that the purpose in saying that was to repudiate the old Reagan way and to make the party more moderate, was it?
Ed Rollins has never been called a moderate in his life. I've been around Ronald Reagan. I was Jack Kemp's national chairman. I'm with Mike Huckabee as his national chairman. I don't think anybody has ever called me a moderate. Fred is the one who basically was viewed as a moderate when he joined with McCain on the McCain-Feingold. If he was still in the Senate, he'd probably be on their same side of the...
All right, well, Ed, I use the word moderate. He was using the word that it was to get away from the conservative Reagan traditions.
I could put the Reagan coalition together again, and I could have someone like Ronald Reagan and get 59% of the vote, would get back the House and the Senate.
Okay.
Our goal is to go back and attract independents and blue-collar Democrats in addition to holding the Republican base, and that's a successful road to victory.
All right. Ed Rollins, thank you very much. Very good of you to come on.
My pleasure. Thank you.